This is your no bullshit guide to a happier life. Quick, but not necessarily easy tips to help you to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of your business and your life. My name is Helen Calvert. I'm a coach, a business owner and a parent, and I'm so happy to be here with you. I do swear occasionally, as the title suggests, so pop in your headphones if I'm not safe for little ears. Ready to go? Let's do this. Hello and welcome to this episode where we are going to be discussing life goals. Does that sound exciting or does that sound intimidating? Hopefully exciting. Hopefully you know me well enough by now to know that I'm not going to tell you that you must have some enormous life goals that stretch you and challenge you. Yeah, that's not really what I'm about. The first thing I would say about life goals, any goals really, but certainly big life goals, like where do I want to be in my life? What do I want the pinnacle of my life to be? We have to remember that we really have no way of predicting the future, and so much changes in our lives that sometimes it can feel like there's not a whole lot of point setting those kinds of goals. And I understand that feeling. If we look back over the last 10 years, everything that's happened to us, everything that's happened globally, everything that's happened to us personally, most of it we couldn't have predicted. Some of it has been way better than what we expected. Some of it has completely thrown our plans out the window. A lot of it's been challenging, but most of it completely unpredictable. So I understand when people say, well, there's not really much point making a plan. And I have to admit, I don't have much of a plan. I think that's partly because I am single, so I can very much roll with the changes and the punches because I don't have somebody else's life plan running alongside mine. But I also think it's because certainly over the last 10 years of my life and my family's life, there has been such immense change and growing and learning and change of direction and change of desires and wants and goals that it seems a little, it seems less exciting to me somehow now to have a big plan because I'm kind of curious to see what happens. But there is one thing that I do think it is worth thinking about. And you might be a planner who wants everything mapped out, or you might be just seeing what life throws at you, or somewhere in between. And none of it is right or wrong, because really it's whatever makes you feel comfortable and, motivates you to get out of bed every day. But there is one thing I think it is really helpful to sit down and think about. Whatever age you are, including with children, when we say to them, what do you want to be when you grow up? I actually slightly reframe that question. I say, how do you want to feel? Partly because that would have been a useful question for someone to ask me when I was younger, rather than what I wanted to be, because it turns out that most of the things that I actually want in life are based on how I think they will make me feel and how I would like to feel. And I think how do you want to feel can really focus your mind in a different way. Because a lot of the time, especially if we've reached a certain point in our lives or a certain age, a certain point in our career, sometimes setting new goals can almost feel like an exercise in box ticking. There might be massive things we want to do. We might want to expand our businesses, grow our income, open new sides to our business, start new products. There could be all kinds of stuff. But also we might actually be really contented with what we're doing, contented to just sort of grow it steadily, see what happens, take the opportunities as they come. But we might not actually need a massive plan for world domination. That might not be necessary. But it could be really important to think about how we would like to feel, especially if we are currently feeling overwhelmed, lacking in confidence, lacking in self-belief, as if feeling as though there's things we can't do because we don't believe that those are within our powers. There might be ways that we really want to feel, and those could be really important goals to consider. Other questions that I would ask would be, what do you want more of in your life? and what do you want less of in your life? And those can be feelings or objects or opportunities, anything really. But what balance needs to change to make you feel how you would like to feel? The other question that's important, and this one is really important if you are travelling through life with somebody else, if you have a partner or a close friend, someone who you feel has a stake in your future and you have a stake in theirs, it's important to ask yourself, how do you picture your future? For instance, if someone says to me, imagine when we're 85, I always picture myself in a care home. I think that's because I've worked in a care home. My grandparents, great-grandparents were in care homes. It was very normal to me growing up that that's where you were when you were an elderly person. It doesn't frighten me. To be honest, I haven't really thought about it very much though, but it's just what I picture. And those pictures we have in our heads are actually really important, because at some point in my life, somebody might be trying to make those decisions with me or for me. And it would be really useful for them to know that, that's fine. That's fine with me. That's what I've always pictured. But if I haven't shared that information, how are they supposed to know? And it's really important if you do have a spouse or a partner, because you might have an image in your head of what retirement looks like, or what being a certain age looks like, what it looks like when the kids leave home, what it looks like when you sell the business, whatever those kind of key points in your life are. You might unconsciously have a picture of what that looks like. Even if it's just, I'm popping the champagne and jetting off somewhere hot, share those visions, because the person you're with might have a completely different picture, and that's okay. That's no reason to panic. It's a reason to have a good chat and figure out how to bring those pictures together, or why you have those pictures and what are the really important elements in them. Because obviously, if you are imagining popping champagne and your partner doesn't drink, well, that's okay. There's ways around that, but it's just, you want to make sure you're both picturing the same exciting image that excites you both, because that's going to really help you to pull together and work towards whatever it is you both want out of life. Now, sometimes you will hear people say, don't plan, don't set goals, because too much is uncertain, there's too much change, and then if it goes wrong, it'll just lead to disappointment. And I think that is a misunderstanding of what plans or goals or whatever you want to call them. It's a bit of a misunderstanding of what those things are about. Because if I set myself a goal of one day, doing the Appalachian Trail in America, okay, that's my goal. Now, let's say that I'm trying to think of that's a bad example because it's an ancient mountain range, but, say there was some kind of natural disaster that meant the Appalachians weren't there anymore. That would probably give wider problems than just my goal not being achievable. But, say something happened to make that impossible. That doesn't mean, oh my goodness, well, what a pointless goal that was. Because it has focused my mind on the fact that I would like to walk a mountain trail. And there will be things about that, ways I want to feel, things I want to see, things I want to experience, pictures in my head of what that might be like. And that could still be completely achievable with a different mountain range. Or if something happens to my body and I'm not able to do that, then it's, okay, back to the drawing board. How can I still experience some of those things, have those feelings, see some of those things in a different way? Because what these things are things that we really want. It's not markers to tick off so that we can say, I succeeded, regardless of how I felt about it. It is things that we really want. And that means that it is markers for the journey of our lives. So we are all journeying through our lives and we can't really see very far ahead at all. But when we have certain goals, that gives us a destination point, which means when we come to crossroads, when we come to choices and decisions, when we're presented with opportunities, because we know the destination we're working towards, it makes those things easier. So if I know that I have a goal, well, actually I do have one particular life goal, which is to one day road trip around America in a Winnebago. That is one of my only life goals. Because I know that that's a goal, if somebody turned up tomorrow with a Winnebago for sale for an amazing price, I'm not saying I would buy it. I've nowhere to store it. But I would know that this was a really important opportunity for me and something very relevant to my goals. So it would be something to really think about and consider very carefully. Whereas if someone offered me tomorrow a half-price Ferrari, I'd be like, well, yeah, Ferraris are great, very nice, but actually that's got nothing to do with my life goals. And if I spend money on that, even though it's an amazing deal, I'll have less money for the things I actually have decided I want. So it helps us in our decision making. It helps us to spot the opportunities, because actually there are opportunities around us all the time. The people we meet, what do they do? Who do they know? What do they have? What can they offer? What can we offer to them? There's opportunities all around us, and we don't really notice them because we're very bound up in what we're doing inside our own heads. But what we will notice if we have these goals is things that are important to achieving those goals. So it will help us to spot those opportunities. And the thing is, as we go down these different paths on our journey, some paths will end up being blocked, some paths will be challenging, and there will be times when we decide to change the destination. And that's absolutely fine, because this isn't about success or failure. It's about mapping out your journey. And if you decide to completely change the destination, that's fine. It just means that you're going to start taking different paths, making different choices. It's all forward motion. We can't help but move forward through our lives. We can't time travel backwards. It's all forward motion, and it's fine to change the destination. And you might feel that it's not at all useful to you to have any destination in mind at all, but it can be helpful so that we know which turn to take next. Now, when you are sitting down and thinking about goals, this is where our mindset block for this week comes in. Because often the way people set goals is they start well, they think, okay, what is it I really want? And they come up with something amazing. And they say, oh, I'd love to have my own line of jewellery. And then before they've even written it down, their brain has already gone, well, you don't know how to make jewellery, so you'd have to do some training to do that. And you can't afford any training. And even if you could, you don't have the time. And how would you get a babysitter? And where would you do the training anyway? And how long would it take? And actually, do you know what? Forget it. The mindset block is we try to figure out the whys and hows and wherefores before we have focused on the goal, and we talk ourselves out of anything that we think is out of our reach. Well, we are going to think most things are out of our reach because we're not doing them right now and we haven't put any thought into them. The reality is, if you wanted your own line of jewellery, there will be multiple ways to do that or work towards that or do something like that. And the important thing is to have that written down as a goal and to let it sit with you for a bit and to just think about it and get creative with opportunities and options. Or maybe just have it sat there like, I don't really know how I'm ever going to do that. But you will start to notice when opportunities arise. Oh my goodness, there's a free masterclass, there's a taster session, there's something at a local event. My friend's just started a jewellery line, maybe I could, that you will start to see the opportunities. There's a quote that I absolutely love, which I think is so relevant here. I don't know who it's from. It's one of those quotes that does the rounds of the internet every now and again. But it's, don't give up on a dream because of the time it will take, because that time will pass anyway. If you come up with a goal and you research it and you're really creative about the ways you could do it and you look at all the opportunities and you still know that, to achieve this or even a part of this is going to take me best part of 5 years. Those 5 years, if we're very lucky, if all goes according to plan, those 5 years will pass anyway. So you can either be 5 years on having not done anything, to do with that goal, or 5 years on and you've done it. The time will pass anyway. The question is, how do you want to feel? How do you want to pass that time? And how can you get creative in figuring out how to get there? Now, this is something that coaching is very focused on, is goal setting. And it doesn't have to be big stuff. It doesn't have to be anything you don't want it to be. Your goals are your goals. But if you do need some help in setting them or figuring out how to reach them or break them down into manageable steps, I am very much here for that. So please do get in touch. In the meantime, as always, be excessively kind to yourself and remember to squeeze every last drop of enjoyment out of life. Thank you so much for listening. It's great to have you along for the ride. If you enjoyed the episode, I'd be so grateful if you could leave me a review. And don't forget to subscribe so you know when new episodes are up. If you identified a mindset block during the episode and would like to work with me one-to-one, you can find out how in the show notes. See you next time.